Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally happened. The movie you've all been waiting for. The movie that will single-handedly restore the MCU to its former glory. The sequel to the much talked about Captain Marvel. The continuation of last year's Ms. Marvel. This November, prepare yourself to... Our content sucks. Our content sucks.
I watch so you don't have to.
I'm gonna be honest with you, as I always am. I am sincerely surprised that this movie even exists. And that is for a multitude of reasons. As always, I feel like this is the type of movie that really doesn't need to exist, because the characters involved don't really justify having their own movie.
That makes sense.
I just don't think that your casual moviegoer is showing up to see a movie about Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, or Monica Rambeau. I realize that the original Captain Marvel made money despite its less than impressive execution, but you have to remember that movie was released during a very different time in the MCU. A time when audiences would show up no matter what, as long as Marvel Studios was over the title. Captain Marvel also had the benefit of being the lead-in movie to Endgame, which helped it immensely.
It's true. All of it.
If you think people showed up to that movie just to see Captain Marvel or Brie Larson, I'm sorry, but you are severely mistaken. And yes, regardless of what some fanboys and contrarians might say, the movie overall was completely forgettable in every way. As for Ms. Marvel, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the show, simply because I had no interest in it, and it was made pretty clear to me that it wasn't really made for someone like me.
It wasn't made for him.
It was clearly made for young girls, and for that reason, I avoided talking about it. As for Monica Rambeau, I did watch WandaVision, a show with interesting ideas that eventually reverted back to the same old Marvel shit by the end of it. But I'm going to be honest with you, I remember very little about Monica's character from that show, which I'm going to go out on a limb and assume she was pretty bland, which also means that she'll fit in perfectly with these other two characters, who I also find to be pretty bland and one note.
Let's gut the freaking nerd.
Which brings me to The Marvels, the movie that is supposed to bring these three female characters together. I do think it was a smart move by Marvel to put them all together in one movie. That way you can kind of mask their deficiencies as characters, and all the blame for a possible failure can't be placed on one character specifically. So I think in that aspect, Kevin Feige does know what he's doing.
Okay, I see what you did there.
But as for actually what's going on in the trailer, it's about what I expected. We open the trailer with Nick Fury, a fan favorite, someone that they will most likely try to sell this movie around. And then we get our first look at the possible most original thing in this movie. The concept of these three characters switching places with each other anytime they use their powers. Something that the bots were out in full force praising in the comments section to the official trailer on YouTube.
You're pathetically predictable.
And truthfully, this concept could be very interesting, and it could create situations that are unique to this movie alone. But like time travel in Endgame or the multiverse in Doctor Strange, I just don't have confidence in Marvel Studios to go all in on the idea. They do have a track record for underutilizing possible game-changing concepts, and I have to assume they're going to do the same thing here. The first time we see this happen in the trailer, it's used for a comedy bit, to the surprise of no one.
Ha ha, very funny, motherfucker.
And we see Ms. Marvel fangirling out over seeing Nick Fury, and what's supposed to be a fun, quirky little moment for the character. But it feels like this type of thing has been done so often in this universe at this point, that now it just comes off as kind of generic and cliche. And next we get our first look at Queen Brie herself making her triumphant return. Because of this whole power switching thing, Brie does a lot of randomly falling through doors or falling through tables, which to me kind of says a lot of how they view the character of Captain Marvel at this point.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
The character that was once supposed to take over as lead of the Avengers, and now for some reason she can't have her own movie anymore, and it feels like she's kind of being diminished in this movie. There's a lot of shots of the three leads being thrust into situations that are unfamiliar to them, and Ms. Marvel is still fangirling and trying to form a team with her two counterparts. But Monica and Queen Brie make it very clear that they are not a team. And I'm sure hilarity will ensue.
Had you ever heard of the healing power of laughter?
I gotta be honest with you, I don't know who this movie is actually made for. To me, the MCU is in a space right now where they're struggling to hold on to the fan base that they have. And I'm not sure the Marvels is the type of project that's going to restore faith in people, if that's even possible. To me, it just feels like an uphill battle. When you're trying to sell people on a movie with 3 uninteresting leads, and without having something exciting like an endgame level event going on around them.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
The MCU just feels kind of directionless at this point. I understand that Secret Wars is supposedly coming, and the Kang Dynasty may or may not be coming at this point thanks to Jonathan Majors getting a little handsy with his girlfriend, or not, depending on who you talk to.
Nobody likes a smartass, alright?
I guess the real question is, can audiences legitimately look at these 3 characters as characters who can carry this franchise into the future, now that your foundation characters like Iron Man and Captain America are no longer involved? And I just don't see how that is possible. The name recognition just isn't there. And we have to stop acting like we can turn every obscure character into the next Guardians. It just isn't going to work like that. The interest in your brand isn't there anymore.
Stop it!
You don't have enough good faith built up anymore to incite that kind of positive reaction. As always, you will have people trying to manufacture hype around this movie, but as we've seen a lot recently, fake social media hype does not translate to longevity at the box office. If behind the scenes stories about poor test screenings are any indication, and the fact that this movie has been delayed what seems like a couple of times at this point, I think we can gather and assume what we are going to be getting from the Marvels. Yet another forgettable mess that the modern MCU is becoming known for. Surprise, man baby! Did you really think I was going to let you do one of your little incel sketches, making fun of trailer reaction videos? Not this time, not for this movie. Is anyone really surprised that ReelShift didn't like this trailer? Let's face it, he went into watching this wanting to hate it. What's wrong? These beautiful ladies aren't smiling enough for you? Queen Brie doesn't have to smile for anyone, no matter how much you want to cope and seethe about it. The Marvels will be peak MCU, mark my words. And these ladies will prove all of you misogynists wrong, when they make the general public forget all about Iron Man and Captain America for good. Yes, queens!
Y'all be cool. Right on.